Hello everybody, welcome back to our Moneyball series here with Barnsley. Now, as you can see, we've finally done it. We've got all of the positions done and finalised. So I adjusted some of them as I went. Like, these are now like the tweaked versions. I don't know if you've seen them before and you'll notice they're a bit different if you've been following along that closely. But yes, we have got all of the positions. We've got the only one that's not on here is goalkeeper, because I'll look at that separate. I will create one for that eventually. But in the last episode, I showed you the one for centre-back. So these are all of them here. As you can see, the wing-back one's slightly, it's more basic because it's just like, how good are they in possession and how good are they out of possession? And you're looking at just like tackles per game, tackle completion, dribbling, crossing, cross completion, a couple of chances created sort of stuff. But that is it. I don't have chances. Created chances per 90 minutes. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So I think that's all I could find really for wing-back. But as you can see, as the positions go on, the more we need. So like midfielders, you need both sides of the ball a little more. And it just gets more and more in depth. And the striker one is, I put striker because rather than trying to create a striker for a big man and a striker that runs in behind, I've sort of got one set of filters to do both roles. That's sort of why that's there. And same for winger as well, a little bit because of that. In central midfield, we've separated them into two. I could probably get them down to one if I wanted to. But I like it the way it is because one's much more heavily featured, which is central midfielders, far more featured heavily in possession than out, whereas CDM is mainly out of possession but a bit of in as well. So these are these are going to be our filters and the stats we're going to look for going forward. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, feel free. Okay, so next thing to look at then, I showed you centre backs in the last episode. We went through all the centre backs and that one's pretty much sorted. Now, I'm not going to focus on wing backs just yet because we have Remy Vito. I'm actually quite happy with as a starting level left back, and Bodo I don't mind as a backup left back, to be honest. They're pretty good. And then for right back, nobody, I don't think, has done that well, especially from the stats, but we've got so many players there. Like, it's going to be something that we can come back to later, I think. Let's get everything else set and let's come back to that. It's sort of how I'm thinking about that. So, central midfielder is the next sort of area. Now, again, we've got a couple of players here, but let's see whether we can improve this first, especially in the box midfielder. Let's look at pivot as well, because Ledson, I thought, was quite decent, played terribly for us, so I'm happy to have a look at getting one of those in. Okay, so I've just finished the CDM stats here, put all the stats in for the CDM. Now, there's nobody that's come up for this. So what we're going to do then is start going through and taking away some of the, I guess, not as important ones. So fouls made is at most 26. Let's put that up to like 30. Doesn't do anything. Dribbles per made doesn't matter because it's on 0 anyway. So let's just get rid of it. Headers one ratio, let's drop that to like 65. Team conceded is at most, let's put that up then to like 1.25. Goals, let's drop that. Still nothing. Click out chances for CDM, let's drop that to about that. There was one stat that I just removed everybody from the list. It might have been pass completion. Using some of the one 0, it's like when it says 0.87, the options are 0 and 1, like, so you can't really help it. Let's put this one to like 45. Let's see if that gets us enough players. Right, we've got a small list now. One of our own players has appeared. Regan Slater. I mean, is he not more of a centre back? No, he's not. He's CDM, 5'8". So we'll shortlist him. Matt Smith at the MK Dons. He's the ex-Manchester City player, right? Yeah, he is. So I'd put him on the shortlist. I know he's a league below as well, but he's actually quite good. And I don't know, it's like League One. It depends what club they're at. Makes a big difference for me. If they're like a League One team that's just come up or is surviving, but I'm pretty sure if we look at the MK Dons, how they get on, so they finish in the playoffs, so that's a high level League One player. What else could we get rid of here to try and get some more players to show up without ruining the whole thing? I think maybe let's just take challenges out and just leave the headers one ratio at 65. Let's just see what that does. Here we get Dan Barslaw from Rotherham. We're in League One, finished 5th, so he's another one I'll look at there. Add to shortlist. That is not a lot of options, so it becomes really, do we think any of these are going to be better than the current player we've got? So I'll scout these 3 lads here. That gets us our central defensive midfielder. Central midfielder is going to be next. I'll see in a second then when I have that all completed for you. Okay, welcome back. So yeah, predictably, there's nobody off the bat for this one either. So then we're going to take down... What do we take down first? I mean, clear-cut chance is what ruined it, I think, this time from what I saw. Let's get that down to like, I don't know, 9. Pass completion down to 87 to maybe 5 clear-cut chances. I'm not going lower than that. We should have had more than that anyway. That's like a minimum. Key passes per 90. We can drop that to 1. Get rid of the team ones. Right, that's after getting rid of all of that in the team, it's given us a load of players here. Right, okay. Tommy Rowe, Doncaster, no thanks. Oliver Rathbone is an option here. He plays for Rotherham. He's quite small, 5'6". Not sure if he's going to be able to compete in our tactic, but he seems to have played a lot of games and got a lot of the stats that we're looking for, so I'm going to shortlist him there. Yeah, there really isn't a lot of players there. A lot of the players that I've looked at are like League 2. Sonny Carey plays for Blackpool, so let's just highlight him for a second here. So key passes per 90, we're looking for 2.57. He's way down on that. Dribbles per 90, 0.67. He's got 0.58. Clear-cut chances, we've got those wrong way around here, but chances created per 90, 0.44. He's got, so chances created per game is actually quite high. His clear-cut chances is also above. Pass completion is a little lower, but we don't care about that if we're going to try and force the issue. Assists per game, we're looking at 0.23. He's got 0.17 XG. He's a little lower on that. Tackles per game. In tackles 1, he's a little lower on. Key tackles and interceptions, he's actually higher. So he might actually not be too bad. Like, the thing is, I'm sure if I look across here in depth, he's low on one particular stat. As fouls, it could be fouls. And heading as well. So these two here, he wouldn't have come up on the stats for ages, no matter what I got rid of. But the other one's actually pretty close, and he's actually above on a couple of others. So he looks actually a really good option. And his stats are in the Championship, so that's good. He's expensive. But if we have the money after selling all our players to go out and get somebody, he's going to be the player. I mean, Elliot Embleton's another one. Plays for Sunderland, but his stats across the board are quite similar. Can we find dribbles per game? Even is okay. I thought it was a little low, but it's actually not. It's his key passes that are lower. His chance, auto size, or columns. There we go. Right. Chances per 90. He's actually above on clear-cut chances. He's close. Pass completion, he's very close. Assist per 90, a little low. XG, he's double XG. He actually looks really good as well. And he's cheaper, so that's our cheaper option. That's good. Is he both-footed? Isn't it? I remember him being both. I think he's left-footed, which I don't want really, but I'm going to shortlist him because he could be a great option for us. He's injured for 2 months, but that isn't going to matter because we're not going to buy him for like a month anyway. So that's good. At the end of all that, we managed to get 2 options for central midfield as well. Okay, so wide players, the same thing. Can't find anybody right off the bat. So for this, it was definitely clear-cut chances created. It did not like us asking for so much of the wingers. Okay, so wingers has been a real issue. The closest thing we've got so far is Owen Dale. I mean, let's have a look at his stats then here. I've not actually looked at all his stats. We're trying to get a few options there, to be honest. So dribbles per 90 is actually above what I was looking for. Cross completion is supposed to be 28. He's only got 20 for that, so it's not as good. Chances created per 90, we're looking for 0.42. He's got 0.25. Clear-cut chances created for the season, we're looking for 14. He's got 8. Assists per 90, 0.19. He's got 0.11. And we'll just finish off with XG. He's got higher XG than we require. Like, so everything after that becomes like how good's in the air. So like secondary things, can he head at the back post and deal with some crosses, and how good is he defensively? So we're going to ignore all of that for now. We're going to just look at his production. Owen Dale is pretty much exactly what we'd want in all these departments here. His XG and his assists and his goals is pretty good for a team. Like, where did Blackpool finish? I don't think they finished that high, did they? Well, they finished 7th actually, didn't do too bad. So Owen Dale, so let's scout him. He's definitely going to be one of our players. We've got Admiral here. Now, I think he's a striker, isn't he? Yeah, he just... dribbles per match is significantly lower. Like, that's not good for a winger at all. Even though all his other stats are going to be pretty good, I think he must have played some matches up front, and he's just not a prototype winger, in my opinion. And, like, he doesn't do that much better in the air. He's okay in the air, like, but his assist per 90 is slightly better than Dale's. Kicker chances is much better. Chances created per 90 is much higher, but his cross completion is better. But his dribbles per game is what worries me. He's not really a winger, is he? That's my only concern. But he is transfer listed, so he gets just everything, but he doesn't dribble up players. That he could play on the left-hand side if he's a good creator, which he obviously is at least a little bit. So we'll definitely scout him, but he's not our number one option. Ryan Longman, 2.58 dribbles per game, plays for Hull City in the Championship, so we're not worried about that, the level. Chances created per 90, if we compare him to Owen Dale, he's much higher actually for that. Clicker chances is better, so he's actually across the board quite good for the creative stuff. So he's not a bad option to have different to Owen Dale. That's not a bad little shout. I've just sorted it by dribbles per game. Now, Ryan Longman's clearing away the best for dribbles per game. Carl Edwards is second, but Carl Edwards plays in League One. So I'm gonna shortlist him for now, but I'm not going to bother scouting him just yet because His assists per game is shockingly low. I mean, and that's in the league below, and he's not done that well. So, not overly commits, but we'll put him on the shortlist anyway. Daryl Horgan plays for Wickham in League One as well. Again, we'll shortlist him as another good option to have potentially across the board if things don't work out for our first choices. Mendes Gomez plays for Luton in the Championship. He's had 33 starts. Again, across the board, I mean, his raw assist and goals isn't great. Average rating is terrible. His assists per game is not good, but he's got good dribbling per 90 minutes. He's got an okay dribbling per 90 minutes. Okay cross completion. He's just a slightly lesser level of our other players. But if you compare him to Harry Cornick, who's our own player, he's above him in a few of those categories there. So that's going to be interesting. We'll definitely shortlist him, but we won't bother scouting him just yet. Mainly, but it's not that. The only reason for that is I don't really have enough scouts for them all to be scouting all of these players at once and to do their job. So we have to only scout so many for this point until we get our new scouts. Now I've got an advert out to get some more in. Okay, now we'll move on to the strikers to finish this off. Okay, so yet again, there's been nobody that's come up as an option to sign with everything that we looked for. So penalty is going to come off straight away. Goals, I mean, we're going to put that down because it's more about the stats rather than the actual goals they score because they could have played for a bad team. 2 of our players have ended up in this list, so that's good. Nishan Burkhardt and Cotton Morris. So in a different tactic that creates a different kind of chance, you expect them to both do well next year. So that could be our starting strike force. And Harry Cornick as well, who could be a striker or a winger for us. Kevon Williams seems to have also fit the bill, playing in the Championship in France. So Malik Willis here, he's actually made only 8 starts, so it's a bit of a smaller sample size for him. But his goals per 90 is 0.4, that's actually quite good. Shots per 90 seems to be pretty good as well. Shots on target 51, that's okay. If we're looking at what we're supposed to be looking at here, goals per 90 is 0.68. So that's actually, but if you look at the difference in the other players we're looking at, that's actually still quite high. Expected goals is good. All-time goals, don't really care about that. Dribbles per 90 is 2.03. That's way above what we're looking at. So he's probably more like a winger, but he's 6 foot. He's probably not a bad player. Is he good in the air? Let's have a look. Headers 1 ratio we're looking at is 47. So he looks an underrated player for us. He's exactly the kind of player that we're talking about. And it's taking me a while to make him appear. I don't know what was stopping him appearing in the list, but he wasn't showing for a while. What we're going to do here is compare the players that we can see on this list with the stats that we've got, because the actual search bar doesn't seem to be helping us hardly at all. Lee McBurney has started 1 game 3 times as a sub. His his goals per game is 1.65. So I'm going to shortlist him. I'm not going to scout him, but I'm going to shortlist him as an option. Jerry Yates, his goals per game is 0.31. Shots per 90 is 1.89. Shots on target percentage is 44%. So that needs to be 54. He's not proper expected goals. He's a little low on that. Dribbles per 90, he's almost bang on for that. Headers, he does not win enough headers. He's winning 47%. So Jerry Yates, although he fits a little bit of the criteria here, he doesn't over here. Now, the thing is, right, if we got something like Jerry Yates and then we got somebody that was like Ollie McBurney, and together they average out that number that we've got. So the current number is for headers 1 ratio, we're looking for 47%. Now that would still be below that, but if we can get close to it with 2 players, that's about what we're looking for, because we're going to have one striker that runs in behind one that's better in the air, but it's like Jerry Yates is too extreme, he's nowhere near good enough in the air. I'm going to shortlist him because he does fit some of the criteria, but he's just not good enough in the air at all. There's our friend Admore again. Now he came up as a winger, but now if we look at him as a striker, his heading percentage is 37%. That's better than Jerry Yates, which looked at. He gets in the air a bit more as well, battles for it. Dribbles per 90, we're looking for 0.77, so he's above that. His XG 7.39, we're looking at 14.7, it's a bit lower there. Shots per 90, goals per 90 is awful, but that could be the team and the role that he's been played in. So we're scouting him anyway, so that's good. Tom Bradshaw is hard to judge because he's hardly had any starts. His shot percentage on target is good. Expected goals is not bad. His shots on target percentage is good. His dribbles per 90 is above what we need. He's terrible in the air, though. His percentage is just awful. It's Sam Gallagher. He's got Josh Coyote, who's our player, right above him. So we've got goals per 90 is a little bit lower. Shots per 90 is above. Shots on target percentage is there. What's interesting is Coyote is actually above what we need for shots on target, which is good. Dribbles per 90 is a bit lower, but he's going to be the bigger man of the two. Aerial attempts per 90 and head ratio. Look at that. That's what you want. Absolute beast in the air. So Sam Gallagher is definitely going to get scouted and shortlisted. Lyndon Dykes here. He's got good shots on target percentage. Goals per 90 is, how low is it? It's not great, but I've seen worse so far. He's played a lot of games as well. Headers won ratio is good. Dribbles per game is a little low, so he'd have to be the big player, he's 6'4". So based on that, yeah, he's definitely worth adding on the shortlist and scouting because he would be the big man, obviously, in the two strike roles. Elijah Adebayo now, I'm pretty sure for him to have that much aerials per 90 and head win ratio, that must mean he's been used as a target man. So the fact he's only scored 6 and his goals per 90 isn't great. I'm going to put it down to the fact they used him in that role. He is transfer listed, so I'm going to shortlist him. Interestingly here, wrong position, but it's just come up. Sikri Dembele, who's got 3.82 dribbles per 90. He is on the transfer list. I missed him on our winger list, so I'm going to shortlist him and go back and look at his winger and look at him in comparison as a winger after this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and start transfer listing some players and offer them out to clubs to get some money. So Callum Stiles is wanted. Like next season, I'm happy to lose him so he can leave. Josh Benson, you can leave, youngster from the 23s. James Bree is wanted. I mean, I would consider selling him. Liam Kitchen can definitely leave. I'm happy to take money for him if we can get it. I would take money for either of these two, Ledson or Kane. I'd like to keep one of them because we know what we've got with them. We know what type of player they are. We know what they can offer us. And up front, Cotton Morris. These two have scored pretty well on their stats, looking through everything. He has not. He can leave. Only $7,000 a week. Jan Dand, I'm happy to let go as well. Odor can leave, especially if he's worth that much. Palmer seemed to score okay looking through the stats. Barkusen came up a couple of times, so he's okay. I guess we'll see how that goes. Stars, we've got 1.1 million. That'll do. Kitchen, we've got 1.3. I'm going to accept both of those because I just want him to leave, like for definite. Okay, so we've been able to get like 33 grand in wages and about $1 million in transfers. And the main reason is we've been able to sell the following players. We're able to sell Aaron Lay at second for 88 grand, but he was on $7,000 a week in wages. Benson for 60 grand, 180 grand overall. Kitchen for 1.3 million. Jordan Williams for 1 million, but that's quite a lot of wages altogether. And everybody else, even where it says wanted, I've offered him out for like 700 grand and they won't offer anything for him. I've offered him out for 200 grand and nothing. His value's gone from like 5 million to that. Okay, let's just try it now and see if it goes this time. Now that it's like reset his value. No, nothing. It's gone back up to 3.3 million. What's going on? What is going on? Like, he's not worth it. Right. There we go. So, obviously, because we couldn't just get that for him, I'm going to take that because he's rubbish. And we'll just take the 2 grand in wages. Oh, and we're only getting 30% of the money, which I didn't realise it was that low. So now we go back to 50, but it's too late, really. But he's just not going to play central field or at left back. So, there's just no point in keeping him. So, it really is just a complete, bit of free money for us. Bassey's loan is up and they won't let us have him back. So at the 30th of June when he goes back, that'll be another 2.5 grand a week in wages coming in. So that's pretty much our squad currently. So for me, the first thing I want to look at is a centre-back. I've had a few of these players being scouted for a while here. Jimmy Dunn is transfer listed. Now, the reason I look for these players first is that you can offer them basically that and get them for free, which is how we're going to look at first. See who's available for free. Is he the only one? Which obviously means that when you sell them, you don't get much money back, but you didn't pay anything to begin with. So it's just wages. So we're going to look at that first. We'll go for him first. Jimmy Dunn. Arment is second. Now let's see if we can get him for something cheap as well. We've got no money to spend. Like, we've got absolutely no money to spend in terms of transfer money. So it's about whether we can get some of these on a real cheap deal. Maybe get him for something quite cheap. Ryan Leonard is next. Oh, no, let's keep it like that. And that. Could maybe get him for a cheap one as well. Jason Kerr probably as well. So it looks like that pretty much everybody below our top option we can get for a relatively cheap deal. Take these two out, Andrew Hughes and Reece and Ryan Bennett, because they're both because they are both 30 and 32. Edmondson, he's in the league below, he might be all right. Oh, we could potentially get him for something really cheap. There's Reece Burke, who's really far down the list. He made a lot of starts for them, you know. Like that's unusual. Free transfer, Reece Burke, and he played a lot of games for Luton. Did they get relegated? No, surely they didn't. Let's have a quick look. Luton didn't get relegated, did they? Oh, they did get relegated. That's why so many of their players are appearing on our list, because they're actually good players and they wouldn't normally be interested in us, you would think, but they are because they got relegated. That is really interesting. Okay, let's see what we can get from that. Wages go up to 37 grand because Callum Sykes has finally left the football club, so that's good for us. So right, Jimmy Dunn instantly, even though it's a free transfer, I mean, that's just way too much wages for what we can afford. I don't even think there's any point in negotiating with him. I suppose you could get it down a little bit. I should look at the promises. Let's see if we can offer him something here that he likes. I'm happy to put non-promotion release clause now on these players because I do feel like that we should be in a position to do that. So minimum fee can be 3 million. Promotion 0. Like that. I don't know. Jimmy Dunn and Reece Burke. I mean, Jimmy Dunn was a starting centre-back for a championship team. And did okay, to be fair. If I look back at our stats here, so headers 1, we need 12.77. He's got 13.77 header 1 ratio. We need 83. He's got 85. Interceptions, he's slightly lower on that. Tackles per game, he's above that. Tackle ratio, he's above that. Pass completion, he's way above that. He's probably the one. So looking back through that, let's just double check that Reece Burke hasn't got some in his locker as well. So he, again, was a starting centre-back for a team in this division. Header ratio is 79, that's slightly lower. Interceptions at 2.86, slightly lower. Tackles per game, 1.26, that's above. Tackle completion is 85, that's way above. Fouls 26, that's quite high for a centre-back. You probably play right-back some matches, looking at this. Pass completion, 93, we need 96. He's slightly lower, but he's still, don't forget, this is the best centre-back for the best teams in the Championship, right? So he's not a million miles off those, so he's still pretty good, but he's almost better than the other top ones, Jimmy Dunn. So that's what we're looking at here. So I'm happy to go up to, let's try and keep the transfer down if we can. Let's try and offer him something like that. You can have the wage rise, you can have that. You can have a 2 million release clause. So you can have that. Right, he's taking that on 7 grand a week. Now, do we need to get 2 centre-backs is the question. Probably. That puts us to 30 grand in wages right now, with the way things currently are. With how many players are still scheduled to leave? Just him and him. So that's another 2.5 grand in wages. That puts us at 40. So that leaves us now with about 33. We don't need a load of players, but we do need 2 centre-backs. So, yeah, that's definitely worth it. We'll go... Oh, if we can get him for this would be a steal. Right, let's try and avoid giving him a 2-year contract, relegation release clause, and minimum fee release clause of $1 million. Okay, about 4 grand a week. Year contract. Their relegation release clause of 0. Non-promotion release. I don't want to give you too much money. Took that 4 grand a week. We currently have 3 right backs, and we're going to use only 2 of them. To be fair, I would let any of these 3 go because I don't think any of them really fill me with any confidence whatsoever. Offer all 3 of them out and just see if we get any offers back on any of them. That's that. No, we also need to do some friendlies because the season's going to start pretty soon because it's the second season with the World Cup in the winter. George Edmondson. They take 50%. No, they still want a bit of money. Trying to absolutely steal some centre-backs here for the amount of money we're trying to pay. Tom Leeson, you're 31. I'm happy to just not bother with him because we've got other ones that are younger. By the way, we did bring a new assistant manager. So Reece Summers comes in, and the reason that Reece comes in is that we now play a different brand of football, right? We're now playing 4-4-2, so he's coming in with the preferred formation of 4-4-2. We are slightly more direct, I suppose. We're not Catenaccio, but you can't have everything in this world at times. So David Dunn leaves, and he comes in. Now, James Bury, can we get, like, I don't know, 300 grand for you? Yeah, Watmore wants that much in wages, so that's just a no. We'll keep him on the short list, because at least we know he's somebody that was good enough, at least in his first season, but we won't bother pursuing him any further. We'll try and get Jason Kerr for a similar amount of money. But nobody wants James Reed even for that, so that just means that there's no way he can leave for anything less than that. Whoever wanted him has backed out, so let's go with Vincent Young. Let's try and get him out for like 100 grand. And Kake we can offer out for, I don't know, 100 grand as well. Definitely not happening, is it? Okay, we'll accept that we're going to have an overload at right back for the first half of the season. Hopefully one of these can go in January. And I guess Kake will be an emergency centre-back as well. There's a chance we could get Frankie Kent here for quite a cheap fee. Yep, we've got that accepted. Right. And we've got Elijah Adebayo, the big striker. I'm going to delay it because the only reason I went for him was because I didn't want to look at strikers just yet, but somebody put an offer in on him, so I wanted to make sure that we'd made an effort first to try and get him. I offered him hardly anything as well. So Frank Kent, 6.5 grand a week. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get all these centre backs. Probably get 2 of them, but we just wanted to get an offer out and get that underway there. And we also have then got another 2.5 grand a week coming in here when he goes back to his club. Right. So the next thing then, we've looked at centre backs. The next thing for us to look at is probably central midfielders. We take quite a lot to get Matt Smith. Egan Slater, will they let him go for cheap? No, absolutely not. That's probably not going to happen. It's way too much money. And Barcelona from Dan Barlaser. I don't know how to pronounce your name, mate. And they'll let us have him on a free with 50% in the next sale. So he's probably worth trying to bring in if we can. Jed Wallace has come up on a few of my lists for different positions. I don't know which position I'd play him in. Brad Potts would be a good boxer from the stats from last year. He looked quite good. Elliot Embleton's got an injury for quite a long time. Would they let him leave now for like this? No, they would not. Sonny Carey's the one that stood out to me. Now, he looks really good. They're going to probably want a lot of money for him. Yeah, they do. That's probably a non-starter. That's way too much money. It's a shame. He looked probably the best of the lot for a central midfielder. Oliver Rathbone was the other one. Could try and get him on the cheap. He's probably going to be a little bit of money. No, they'd let him go for free as well. Okay. They must be dog shit, some of these players that we're looking at. I don't know. These 2 League One players both want like 17 grand a week. Like, what's going on here? My assistant manager thinks he'd be 3 stars, but would also be number 1. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. What do they think about Oliver Rathbone? I have a single report for him yet. Shit. He's quite small, isn't he? He's quite light. What was his dribbles per game again? 0.20. That's nowhere near good enough. His key passes per game is also below. He's not going to be good enough. Chances created. No. He played a lot of games. XG is 4. We need 4.34. He's not good enough. He does not create enough in possession. Click at chances, everything he's got up, but like key passes, even he's below on everything, and he plays in the division below. So for me, there's not any point in us trying that. So we will remove ourselves from this. And then Oliver Rathbone, before we move off of this, Rotherham dribbles per match, 0.26. We need 0.67. Again, that's a pretty key one for us. And if you're not going to do that, you need to be creating something else. And again, he's not doing it again in the league below. So we'll probably remove both of those and move on to other players. Essentially, that means we're going to have to spend big. Like Embleton is the only player then that we could look at. Dribbles per match. Okay, now his dribbles per match is actually good. That's above what we're looking for. So of all of those League One players, he is the one we would go for. Elliot Embleton is not even close. I'm a little afraid that he's left-footed, which would ruin it a little bit. But Brad Potts, what was yours? 1 point. It's got to be him. Even his key passes per game is it's not that great. Chances created 0.44. Oh, it's a bit low on that. Pass completion's a little low. Assists per 90 minutes is a little low, but it's pretty close. XG is a little low, but it's close. He's a lot closer, but at least he dribbles with the ball, and he's got the ability to. I think he's the one to go for, personally. So I'm going to try and get him for a little. We have to spend a bit of money on the central midfielder, I think. Okay, that's fine. We could probably get him for a relatively cheap fee. Let's try that. Yeah, okay, we'll take that. Yeah, this is definitely the way to go. Let's try and give him like that. He wants a load more than that. Okay. The going rate for a central midfielder is 12 grand a week. 2 years and then a non-promotion release clause. He's taken that on 12. I would take that. I'd take him on 12. I think that's probably just about worth the money. Because like Dan Johnson's in on 12. I mean, I would like to sell Dan Johnson, but it's not that he's not good enough. He's just the wrong type of player. Like, because he's left-footed and strongly left-footed, that's like our holding role. I suppose it would, if we could get rid of one of these two, I could just play him as a holder. But we need to get rid of somebody in midfield for that to happen. Like Kane, Ledson, or him. One of those three need to leave. I'd even let him go on a free. It's just the wages that I care about. But nobody wants someone free. You've got to be joking. Like, no Championship or League One team wants someone free. That is unreal. Jason Kerr at centre-back. We've got an offer accepted for him. Jed Wallace. Look, Jed, if I brought you in as a central midfielder, dribbles per game, yep, very good. He passes per game. He's not quite as high on that. Chances created 0.32. That's not far off. Like him and Brad Potts, though, are very similar. He's probably a lot higher on expected goals, but he's playing up front for them. Brad Potts is going to cost us like this. So I think we have to go Brad Potts because financially it just makes way more sense for us. Yet no chance, Jason Kerr. Thanks for your idea, mate, but you can just stay where you are. Matt Smith was recognised as a CDM for us. I'm going to go back in for him if I just want to get rid of one of these. Like, well, that'll do. That's 2 grand a week. All 3 of them were offered out for 0, and 50% of the wages were being paid by us, and nobody wants them. So we just got to hope that it sort of resets itself later on in the window and somebody does want them. But for right this second, we are in a bit of trouble. Next thing to look at is wingers. So Dembele's on a load of wages, so he's probably a no-go for us. Owen Dale's the first one we're going to look at, isn't it? That's the one we looked at. Right, that's probably good. We could probably get him for maybe that. Take that out. Take that out. Yeah, we'll do that. Sweet. What's a lot of money, but I expect the strikers and the wingers to be where we have to spend our most wages. If we can get that down to like 14. Relegation, that you can have that. That's coming down a little bit. Non-promotion release clause of 0. Thank you very much, Owen Dale. You can join the club. Daryl Horgan, we're looking at wingers now. Dribbles per game, we need 2.18. He's got 2.23. Is the division below. Cross completion, we need 28. He's got 29. Chances created per 90 is a bit low on that. Assist per 90 is very low. But they did get promoted to the league, to the championship. Shot on target ratio is actually quite good. Area challenges per 90. He's quite high on 51% head and 1. That's not actually very good for some reason. Tackles is good. Like, he's actually quite solid across the board. For the division below, though, so let's try and get him for cheap. This should work out fine. That's a really good deal. Carlos Mendes, I'm actually losing track here. What did we get him in for? Was it for a winger or for a striker? His dribbles per game is quite low. But it's not really low. It's just a little low. I'm not entirely sure what he would come in as. Yeah, too much. Too much for a player that we're not sure about and that doesn't really fit something perfectly for us. Abram was another one, wasn't he? He was another player they were looking at from Luton that we weren't too sure about. He's got less dribbling per 90 even than him. So Abram would have to be a striker. He's not going to come in as a winger. I know he's going to want a load of wages. That's why I'm a bit afraid about putting an offer in on him. But they'll let us have him for free, so that would be good. Kyle Edwards, let's have a look at yours. So it's the division below again, but we're looking at wingers. He's got higher dribbling per 90. Cross completions 20, that's a little low. This is created 0.25, should be 0.42. Shots on target is 53. We need that to be 49, so okay, just above on that. I mean, that's sort of irrelevant of the level, that kind of stat. Does he win headers at the back post? 50%. We need it to be 49, I think. 54. So he's not amazing, but he'd be a good backup, and they're willing to take 90 grand for him, so we'll look at that. The only problem I've got there is we're bringing in two wingers, potentially are both going to be sort of backups. So Ryan Longman has got all the stats that we're looking for, but at the Championship, so he's the one, isn't he? We really need to make an effort to try and get him, however much they want for him. This is where we spend the money. We'll go like, I don't know, 200 up front maybe. We'll break the bank a little bit. We'll try and go 750. Oh, it's going to be hard. I just don't know what else we can offer because we've already got like, I don't know, a few hundred grand out. I'm pretty sure the maximum we could go is like 300. Maybe 350. It's just going to be too much. At least for now, we could come back to him. But he's the ideal one if we can try and get a winger in, it would be him. Jacob Brown, now, I can't remember how long ago this was, but he was another winger and potentially wing back that we looked at. But 2.17 dribbles per game. Cross completion is 22%. We need it to be at 28. It's not quite good enough. Chances created is good, 0.35. We need 0.42, but a lot of other players have had lower than that. Assists per 90, 0.31. And we need to be 0.19. So that's really good. Like, that is actually really good. Now, he could be ours. Let's say comes deep to get ball and move into channels. No, just move into channels. Okay. But if we can't get that Ryan Longman from Hull, definitely look at that. I think that's going to conclude our wingers. Then we move into the strikers. I like Sam Gallagher quite a lot for this. His goals per game is 0.54. We need 0.68, so not far off. Shots per game. Okay, shots on target 49. We need 54, but it's pretty close. And for a bad team, it's not too bad. 13.7 for expected goals. 40.7, so he's actually quite close on everything. Triples per 90, 0.54. 0.77 is what we need, but he's a big man, right? Because then he's going to get aerial challenges per match is 21.31, and we normally get 11.86 is the only thing we're looking at. That's the minimum, is 11.86, is a lot. Then headers on target, or headers one ratio, we need 47, he's got 56. I like him a lot. He's probably going to cost us a load of money. Oh, he might not do. We might be able to just squeeze him in. Just. Maybe. Ollie McBurney is going to want a load of wages as well. Probably not a good shout. Lyndon Dykes was the other one if Sam Gallagher wasn't an option. So Lyndon Dykes, goals per 90, 0.44. We need 0.68. Shots on target, 54. We need 54. So he's bang on that. XG. He's just below that. Dribbles per 90, 0.41. We need 0.77, a bit below that. But again, in the airs where he's best. So he's another one I'm going to... He's another one that I'm going to just test the waters on. He's probably going to cost us a bit as well. Roughly the same to Gallagher, so let's see what happens. Malik Willis actually scored quite high on a lot of things. Goals per 90 is okay. Shots on target is about the same. XG is not great, but he's only had 8 starts. Dribbles per 90, 2.03. We only need 0.77. So if he can be good in the air, which our aerial challenges per 90s that we need is 11.86. Like we need somebody who is challenging that much in the air. Now that obviously can be down to the team you're playing in, but then along with that stat, you need to have 47% one ratio on average, and he's got 55. So he sounds like he's the perfect blend of being somebody that can win in the air, but looks like he's probably a bit quicker and can run in behind. So he's definitely going to be on the list. Now, I'm actually going to try quite hard to get him. He's left foot, which I don't like, but I don't care. Like those stats are really good. That's like of all the like level of great signings you can make from a Moneyball strategy, he's like at the top for me there with those kind of stats. Admiral, let's look at him as a striker then. So goals per 90 is absolutely dog shit. Shots on target is 42. We need 54. It's a bit below on that. Dribbles per 90, 1.24. We need 0.77, so that's good. But he's not great in the air. He's probably okay in behind. So I would look at him as an option. Yep, and then because they're going down, they'll accept that as well. So Admiral's not a bad player at all. That just leaves our Jerry Yates, who's just not good enough in the area. He's something to bother with him, and Ollie McBurney, who's putting on too much wages. So I think that is all of our transfers sort of done there and what we've managed to get out. You've seen all of the data that we've gone through here in this episode, and you've seen all the players we've got offers out on. And pretty much, I'm just going to go through there and get those players now off camera between now and the next episode. And I guess we'll come back then with a sort of recap episode for next season coming in. We'll do a recap of all the transfers. And then we'll go into the first game of the season and see what we can do there. I'm still going to, while I'm away, try to get rid of one of these two, or one of these three here, and maybe even like Ronald. Do you know what? If we can get some of these box-to-boxes in, I don't need him either, because we're going to have too many players. So let's transfer list him, see if somebody wants to buy him, because he's not bad. No, nobody wants him either. Jesus Christ. How about for like 100 grand? Unreal. But that's what I'm going to do off camera anyway. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you're still enjoying the series. This was a real stats heavy and proper Moneyball episode of the series. The biggest and probably best one yet in terms of going through all the stats and look at what we're going to buy and then trying to recruit players and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go away now and try and fit all these into the budgets. And you've seen what the process that I'm doing anyway. So I'm glad I was able to show you what I'm doing so you can take it away, do it yourself. And at least then you know what I'm actually doing off of camera and the way that I'm trying to do things. So the way we're trying to like cheat the system to have the money is 50% of the next sale and pay as little upfront as possible. So that, because if you're paying loads of money and you're getting 50% on, eventually you'll ruin the club because you'll keep spending big money and you're only getting less than half back, probably when you sell the players. But here, we're not paying anything or hardly anything upfront anyway, so it's not as big of a deal to us, right? Some players might be slightly bigger, but pretty much, as you can see, we've not bought many players at all for much upfront. But yeah, that is going to do the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this series. I absolutely love this series and can't wait to get into next season. And hopefully, what we've done will work. See you next time.